What is up? What is up? What is up, everybody? Hobby with Cage, episode 27. Woo! We're just getting up there in the numbers here. It's pretty crazy. Hope you guys all had a good Father's Day weekend. There's dads out there listening. Dads in your lives. I had a good one. Had a fun one. Ate a lot, probably more than I should have. Woke up this morning significantly heavier than I was a week ago. Gonna have to get back on that diet bandwagon. Maybe the Naked and Afraid diet. You guys ever watch that show on TV where they like stick somebody in a jungle and they gotta last 18 days on only what they can kill and find themselves? Usually by day 11, they're all starving. I'm gonna have to do that. Like, pretend that there's no source of food 5 feet away from me in the kitchen here. I think the thing that would probably cause me the most harm would probably be not having soda. Here I am in the Serengeti and there's no, forget about fresh water. There's no Coke Zero. I don't know how I'd be able to survive. Anyway, had a fun Father's Day. I hope you guys did too. Little dude got me a gift certificate to the card store, which I will then in turn use buying him cards for Friday opening. My daughter bought me this shirt. You see, it says "Awesome like my daughter." I mean, the apple didn't fall far from this tree. Woo! Tough getting that one out there today. There you go. So, guys, I'm going to make a quick one. And it's going to be two parts. It's going to be, today and the next episode. So we'll call it a two-parter. I guess episodes 27 and 28 will be two-parter. They'll be, a little shorter unless, I have a tendency to be a little verbose. So maybe they won't be short. Who the hell knows? We'll see how it goes. But, I've been selling some cards recently and buying, stocks. And what's funny is when you do research on stocks, you type in Verizon stock or whatever it is you want to type in, and you can find all types of analysis about it. Can't really do that with cards, right? Can't really do the type in Zion Prism and the first thing that comes up is somebody telling you why it's a good investment or why it's a bad investment and the whole deal. And I mean, that's good and that's bad. We have a lot of content, right? We have a lot of content out there, and I'll probably get to that in the episode. And I'm for a while there, especially when things were going up, there were a lot of people recommending cards, giving plays, top 5 picks. I mean, did it myself, right? And of course, it was easy to be smart and, tell you a card that was going to go up in value when everything was going up in value, right? And now you could pick the right guy, you could pick the right card, you could pick the right champion, you could pick the right MVP. And if the overall tide is lowering, if the market is just overall going down, it doesn't even matter if you're picking the right player. Anyway, I had an idea, and the idea came from if you put in a specific stock. It's funny, you find like Motley Fool, and you'll find, Market Watch, and, you find all these different companies that are out there that do research and analysis about stocks and about the stock market. And, I don't think it's the wisest thing in the world to compare cards to the stock market because they're not stocks. They're not, liquid. At least not all of them are. Some are more liquid than others. But it is obviously something that people trade in. There are some similarities. But the thing that's missing is that buy side, sell side, that fun analysis about it. I'm not going to do it about specific cards. I think there's a way to do that. When I was doing some content for Collectible, a year ago or so, we did that, Cages buy and sell. That was sort of something similar, but it was about a specific item, a specific, asset that was, tradable or trading on the Collectible platform. I wanted to do something like that here. It's funny. What made me think of it is I typed in Verizon stock and I saw a Motley Fool article that said the bullish case for Verizon. And you could do this. It's right, put it right in Google, or just type VZ stock. And it's the bull case for Verizon stock. And then if you scroll over to the next article, it's the bear case for Verizon stock. And I'm like, what the heck is this from the same company, And I'm thinking, that's interesting. I guess you depending upon what message you want to read, you can find an article that says something is bullish or something is bearish. And I wondered whether or not I could do that for the hobby overall, the hobby in general. So without further ado, 5 minutes in, this episode will be the bull case for the hobby, followed by the bear case for the hobby. And I think it's going to be fun. I really would love some interaction on it. Love some commentary. If I do this bull case and you're bearish, tell me why. I do the bear case, you're bullish. Why? Tell me what I left out. Tell me the things that you think are bullish for the hobby overall, the things that you think are bearish for the hobby overall. And let's have a conversation, because I think this is what people mean when they talk about hobby optimism and hobby pessimism and negativity and you name it, right? I think this is what they mean. Like, are you bullish about the hobby and why? Are you bearish about the hobby and why? And I think it's okay to do an analysis of both sides of it, right? And it doesn't necessarily mean that it's going away, right? Stock market's been trading for 100 and whatever years, right? And there are bull markets and there are bear markets, and certain stocks are up and certain stocks are down over time. And the entire system, that ecosystem of trading, doesn't disappear, it doesn't go away. So anyway, without further ado, the bull case, right? Reasons why I'm bullish on the hobby, reason why I think you should be bullish on the hobby. I think we currently have the largest amount of hobby participants that we've ever had. Now, I don't have numbers to back that up. I can probably research that. The anecdotal evidence I have is that the nationals are larger than they've ever been. More people at the nationals, more people at shows, more tables at the national, more attendance, more hoopla, you name it. And that's just one measuring stick, right? But I think it's fair to say, when I say more people involved in the hobby, I think it's fair to say that if you go back 5 years and just kind of, looked at the amount of people who were buying cards, looked at the amount of people who were participating in the hobby, you would say it's fair to say there are more now. Now, I think people leave the hobby every day. I think part of the fun of this, this one little piece of evidence and why I led off with it is we all know someone who was in the hobby 6 months or a year ago and is not here anymore. I don't know if we all know somebody who came into the hobby in the last 6 months or a year. Now think about that again, right? On this, we'll do a little more analysis of on the bear side, trust me. I think overall we have more people, more participants. We have money being spent. Right in there, it doesn't matter when you say participants, whether it's collectors, investors, and just the fact that we have had this newfound argument of collectors versus investors, where the collectors are saying, oh no, it's, you guys are ruining it. And the investors saying, come on, you need us for, for pricing and for liquidity and all that fun stuff. Just the fact that we have that type of an argument in the hobby, I think is a bullish sign. Now, it doesn't necessarily have to have a winner to the argument, right? I think there are more collectors. I think there are more people who are, who got back in and are now finding a way to kind of collect what it was they loved when they were a kid, what it is they love now. I think there are more people buying cards and sharing it with friends, family, you name it. I think there are also more investors now than ever before. Potentially less than there were a year or two ago. But if we just take a snapshot of like this period, like this current time period, it's more than it was 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 15 years ago. And that in and of itself is a bullish sign. And point one of more participants, more people, more collectors, more investors, more end consumers. Point two, more companies and businesses that are doing business in the space. You can look to the national again as your best anecdotal evidence. Look how hard it is to find space at the national, right? Look how impossible it is. You don't have to go too far. Go on Instagram and look for somebody looking for space, looking for a piece of a table, you name it, at national, right? And then when you go to national or you go to, any of these bigger shows, it's like almost like a carnival atmosphere, right? And let's think about that for a second, right? So why this is a bull case. Obviously, more companies, more businesses involved is a good thing, okay? More shows. I talk about the national, but the Burbank show, the Dallas show, Culture Collision, right? even the shows that did exist are getting better, right? Your East Coast National had a trade night last year. You know, um, there are more big shows, more events that are surrounding the hobby, and you have more companies in it. The more companies, not just shows, live selling, whether you're going to talk about Loop or Drip or whatnot or eBay or Fanatics Live or whatever it is, there's a lot of them, and that's going to be, I think, the next frontier of the hobby. Um, there's more grading companies, right? A ton of grading companies. There's auction houses, a ton of auction houses. Why is that a good thing? Why is that something that I put on the bull side, right? I put on the bull side because when you have more companies competing for your dollar in the space, we have more people spend more money, more companies there to take that money. Competition is a good thing, right? If you only have one grading company or one auction house, two auction houses, one live platform, there's no competition for the money. There's no innovation. There's no no need to get better. But when you're competing for the end user's dollars, right, the product improves. That's why live selling is going to get better, right? It's why Fanatics Live will challenge whatnot. It's why Drip will have to do certain things to bring on different sellers. It's why these guys will have to, make the content that's being put out better for people. It's why I think you're seeing eBay limit who's able to sell breaking spots on their platform. A step towards regulation, a step towards making it a better buying experience and safer buying experience for the end users. If it was just eBay, they wouldn't have to do that. I think the fact that there are all these other companies out there who are all looking to compete for your dollar is a good thing. And I put that in the bull case. Same thing with auction houses, right? If it was just Golden, it would be a different landscape. But because you have Golden and Heritage and PWCC and Robert Edwards and what I consider legacy plus eBay, they compete. They compete for your money. They compete for your eyeballs. They compete for your cards, which can lead to companies that do a better job of promoting your stuff, right? Your card, which might be on the 10th page of one auction house, can be on the first page and something that is promoted on Instagram or socials for a different auction house. And if all these auction houses are all competing for the same cards, the same money, you name it, there's also competition in fees. It doesn't just have to be we're going to charge a 20%. We're going to take a seller's fee. There are competition for the big cards, competition for your money, competition for where you buy, where you sell. And because you have that, I think it winds up being a better experience for everybody. Same thing, grading, right? If it was just PSA out there grading, they could charge whatever they want for the cards. And they can't because there are still other grading companies that are pushing them. All right? That's the key, right? There are other grading companies out there that are still able to bring in a card graded at a price that forces everybody to kind of, put a good product out there at a good price. Anyway, so it's more people, more companies, more money, Fanatics coming in. Just we're talking about the different companies, but Fanatics being involved has to be viewed as a bull sign. I may talk about them in the bear sign as well. Who knows? But it has to be talked about as a bull sign. And I'm going to talk about the cards themselves in a moment. And I think Fanatics has done some real good stuff with what they've done. But just the fact that they are spending so much time and so much money in the space, you have to view it as a bull sign, right? Like if you were buying a stock, right? Or you were buying somebody told me I should be looking at Paramount Plus, the streaming. And one of the biggest bull signals from this person is Warren Buffett's got a huge amount of it and keeps buying more. And his price point is much higher. And, he's never going to sell. So if you buy in now, you're getting in on a Buffett stock, lower than he's at. And, if you just hold it, well, it's sort of the same thing, right? Like this is a space that Fanatics sees growing. It's a space that Fanatics sees as one where there's going to be more money, more participants, more spending. And if a company like Fanatics has done their due diligence and spent all the money they spent to buy Tops and to come in and now to buy PWCC, and I'm sure they're not done. That has to be viewed as a bull signal for the hobby, for the industry, for the space in general, that they have put this type of an investment in it, because you don't just throw money away in something that's you don't think is a good investment and something you're not going to be in over time. I think that you have to view it as a bull case that they are so bullish on it. I don't like giving a definition, with the word in it, but the fact that Fanatics is so bullish and spending so much money makes the space a bullish space, I believe. Then you got content, man. I mean, if you went back a couple of years, you would see very little hobby content, very little. I mean, myself included. I've done well over 1,000 episodes now over the course of 3 years, but I didn't even know what a podcast was before 2020. And, there are other content out there, sure. But look at it. I view it all as bullish. Whether you are a fan of, Dan the Card Man, AIH, or sports card radio and that type of content, I think it serves a purpose. You know what I mean? I do. I think it serves a purpose. Some of the purposes may be calling me an elitist. I get it. I get it. I get the lobs that get thrown, but believe it or not, that type of content, I'm bullish because that content exists. And I'm going to tell you why. If the space wasn't something that they loved, if the hobby wasn't something they loved, if the cards and the collecting was something they loved, they wouldn't take the time to make this content to try to protect it. And I really do believe that that's what they're doing. I really do believe that in their hearts, these folks are making this content to try to protect this space from influence they don't think is helpful. And let's roll to the other type of content, right? I mean, there's a bunch of different content out there. Your influencer content. Now, I'm seeing a lot less of that, if I'm being honest. I'm seeing a lot less. I don't see Sasha T. I don't know where he is. If somebody sees this and knows where Sasha is, tell him to message me. I haven't seen that guy in a while. I miss him. I haven't, but it's just one example. I don't mean to call one person out, but there are influencer style content out there, which I also am bullish about, right? Because there's that type of content in every space. Now, I'm not saying one is good, one is bad. I'm saying the bullish case is that we have both, right? We have folks who are entrenched, people who want to put the content out there to protect the space. We have folks who want to put content out there to try to be loud, try to be boisterous, to try to bring more eyeballs to the space. And the two of them are sort of balancing each other out. And that's a good thing, right? There are a lot of spaces that have loud individuals, right? And I think it does a good job of bringing eyeballs to the space. And then we have the other type of content that's going to be there to try to preserve the space, right? The AIHs of the world, whether they have huge fan bases and eyeballs like Sports Card Radio, or only a few people tune into the lives like Ziggy. I believe that they both come from the same place, right? They are people who have been here for a while and are trying to protect a hobby that they love from influences that they think are not doing favorable things. I will say that the one type of content that I think is missing, and I'm trying to lean into it myself, and I have a feeling some of the influencers will as well, is sort of an education type of content. I've seen Card Collector 2 starting to do that, but I guess it depends, because the education, sometimes gets bucketed. It gets tranched into the type of collectible you have. Vintage Breaks, Leighton Sports Cards. I mean, he does a good job of putting out, education. Probstein does a great job of educating on stuff. But I mean, Leighton's putting out, 47 Bond Bread stuff today. And to a lot of people, that's not what they want to hear about. I think it's cool education. I try to do a good job of kind of, a little vintage, a little modern, you name it. I hope you guys think I'm doing a good enough job of it. Please let me know if there's something we should focus a little bit more or a little bit less on. I love the feedback from you guys. I guess the content I view, it's bullish, right? Because look, if the hobby was something that was dying down, if the hobby was something that, didn't have a long runway, if the hobby didn't have this, ecosystem of people who wanted to be in it and spend money in it and learn about it, you wouldn't have the influencers, you wouldn't have the content, you wouldn't have this stuff. The fact that it's there and successful, to me, is a bullish signal. It means that people want to spend time not just buying cards, but hearing about the hobby, hearing stories about the hobby, learning about the hobby, and hearing it from different angles as well. So I view the myriad amount of content, the types of content that's out there, as a bullish thing. And then you get to the cards themselves, right? You get to the cards that are being made themselves. Also, the bullish argument on this, the cards kind of look cool. I mean, I know that's a very subjective thing, right? But I think there's some cool cards being made now. There's a lot. And trust me, the type of cards and the card production will be something I talk about in my bear case as well. But let's just look at some of the stuff that Fanatics is doing real quick, and we can talk about. We haven't seen them yet. We don't know the details around it. But that 1-of-1 debut patch that's going to come out this year, that's going to have, Anthony Volpe, Jordan Walker. I don't know if Ellie De La Cruz, if his call up is going to allow for a 1-of-1 debut patch card in this year's product, because I think they might hold his Topps card, his like RC card, till next year. But just think about, that type of, I don't call it innovation, but that's really what it is, that type of a change. I think redemptions in products are down, although I didn't love what they did with Wemby. But let's talk about that Bowman University product for a second. People are collecting the hell out of Caitlin Clark. That's something that just wouldn't have happened a couple of years ago. I'm sending one in for grading myself this week, right? Ian bought one box and got a refractor, not numbered or anything like that. But I mean, that's a cool card. It's something that's collectible. It's something that's added in there. Getting Wemby in Inception and, being able to have that card and having him in Chrome and having the auto, even though it's a redemption, having it out there. The cards that are being made are innovative just from an expansive, point of view. I love OTE. It's a different type of world for basketball now. And look at like the top 5 or 6 draft picks. Like only one's a college kid Miller from Bama. 2 of them, the Thompson twins, have had cards for a while now through OTE. Right? They had Topps Inception last year. They had, Chrome. We were breaking those boxes with our listeners and giving them away and, telling people to buy these. And then, you had the Topps Now cards and that kind of stuff. So I think the innovation in the space is awesome. I really do. I think if you want to go one step further and away from kind of the Fanatics and the Topps and just the regular cards that are being made now. I think I saw like a Lucille Ball autograph pulled out of a pack this week. That's pretty sweet. But go one step further. I think the custom cards are getting some love, right? I mean, that was something that didn't exist, and they've gone so far, right? From think about Topps 2020 and the artists having cards and the Project 70 and all that other fun stuff, to just, the custom card manufacturers, the guys, the artists, and the women who are making these cards. They show up at shows, they make cards. Now they're actually in a product. I think Topps actually put, art cards, custom card artist cards in the product. And that's cool, because I think it's a company seeing that there was a desire for that type of a card, seeing that there was a market for it, and then responding to it. You could say whatever you want about, the other types of cards that were out there. I don't think that we've had as much sort of an interaction as we do now, whether it's your Topps Now, where Shohei Ohtani hits a home run and has a win yesterday, and then today you can buy cards of it online with base relics and you name it. That's a cool thing. It's more interactive. It allows fans to kind of get into the game. I think it's a positive for the hobby overall, and it's part of what I consider a bull case. Now, this is part 1. There will be a part 2 in 48 hours. I'd love for you guys to comment. Send me a DM if you want to just comment here on YouTube. If you're listening to it audio, go ahead and send me a DM on the Hobby with Cage or on the Cage Lawyer, my personal IG. Tell me what I got wrong. Tell me what you would add for the bearish. I have a list of what I consider bearish also. I want to be bullish on the space. I do. My own existence here, the fact that I'm able to talk about the space to you guys, and the fact that I'm able to, have as many people out there listen to this as are listening to it, I think that alone is a bullish sign for the hobby. Hope you guys enjoyed this. A little bit different. I didn't read you any of the messages that I've gotten about the Joker in the last weekend. But it's just something I was thinking about doing as I do research for, other investments that I have. I've never seen anything done like this before. I hope you don't hate it. I'd love to hear your reaction. Again, hope you guys enjoyed Father's Day weekend, and the countdown to the National, it's going to start soon, which means this fat guy's got to start losing weight. Thank you guys for all your support. I can't wait to see the comments. Take care.